Welcome to our series of interviews with Father Andrew Hoover. The teenagers of St. Peter Parish will be interviewing Father Andrew every month, asking him questions that have been on their minds. Stay tuned each month for 2 new videos. Here is the next of many interviews to come.
If I don't go to Mass on Sunday, what will happen to me?
Hmm. What will happen to me if I don't go to Mass on Sunday? You know, Michelle, if you remember just from our last question, um, part of it was what happens if I don't make my confirmation? And it sounds to me like there's a similar question in there. You know, what happens to me if I don't go to Mass on Sunday? And, you know, if you remember back to how I answered that question, part of it, you know, I changed the perspective a little bit. You know, there's something behind the question that suggests like something's coming after me, you know, if I don't do these things. And you know, part of my response is the same, that God's not chasing after us saying, I will smite you if you don't do this. But we have to see these opportunities like Mass, you know, I mean, it's connected with the Eucharist, another sacrament. We have to see them from the perspective of opportunity, you know, and certainly there are rules, and we say that God has commanded us to worship on Sundays. But at the same time, it's a real opportunity to connect with Him. I think about even the fact that for thousands of years, there's something about the cycle of time, you know, the cycle of weeks. You know, I think there's a reason that in the book of Genesis, you know, the creation story, there's a reason that it's 7 days, and it's not so much that God created the world in 7 exact days, but part of those 7 days is because that's such a rhythmic part of human life. You know, and there's something natural about a week's time. It's a good length of time to, you know, repeat a cycle of life, you know. And so when we think about, you know, what do I need to do to offer myself to God? What do I need to do in terms of worship? It kind of makes sense that at the beginning of each week on Sunday that we offer ourselves in worship. The beginning or the end of the week, depending on how you look at it. It's kind of both, you know. But it's just it's a fitting place in our lives once a week to offer that time in worship to God. So it orders the rest of our week, the rest of our life, and it's what God has asked us to do for Him. And really, you know, it's for our sake that we recognize our Creator, that we've been given the good things of this life, and that we're destined for something more after this life. So again, what will happen to me? It's not like God's going to come chasing you down to smite you, but you're going to miss out on all of that opportunity to grow in your life of faith, to encounter the Lord each week, to offer yourself in worship to God. Then what for? Ultimately, He's asking us to do that so that we can be formed well to choose God for eternal life, not just this particular moment of time, not just this one time each week or this time each month or, you know, 2 times each year as kind of a common practice. But it helps us to desire to choose God for eternal life.
If I don't go to Mass, can I still grow in my faith?
Well, that's, I'd say yes, but if you recognize how good God is and the life that He's offered to us, and recognize that He's asked us to worship Him each week on Sundays, as He has since the 10 Commandments, you know, keep holy the Sabbath. If you recognize all of that and you neglect Sunday, then you're turning away from God in a pretty definitive sort of way. So there are other opportunities to grow in faith and in your relationship with God, but if you skip out on Sunday, you're basically saying, no, God, what you've told me, I'm going to make up my own path. You know, so that's really not a good way to go.